Greetings, Spooky fans! Michael here, and if you're watching this video, chances are pretty freaking high that at some point or another you have played a Pokemon game. It's most likely that you've played a main series game or Pokemon Go, but what about some of the other spin-off Pokemon games? Pokemon has released a ton of spin-off games over the years, and while some have been reasonably popular, like the Mystery Dungeon series or Pokemon Snap, or of course Pokemon Go itself, there are quite a few spin-off games that you probably forgot about, or maybe have never even heard of at all. I thought it'd be fun to look back on some of those games, so I'm going to be listing off 5 forgotten Pokemon games. Quick disclaimer though, obviously none of these games were forgotten by everyone. Forgotten games is just a quick way to say games you are unlikely to mention if I asked you to list 5 spin-off Pokemon games. So be sure to leave a like on the video, and without further ado, let's start this list off with one of only 2 Pokemon games to come out on PC. Pokemon Play It.
Hey, my name is Julie. I'm a Pokemon trainer just like you. Stick with me, and together we'll become the greatest Pokemon masters the world has ever seen. We're gonna learn about the world of Pokemon, the trading card game. But you can do more than just collect and trade these cards. They're a complete game. Using the cards, you can battle against your friends to become the best there ever was.
Oh yes, that is from a real, official Pokemon game. Pokemon Play It's first version was released in December of 1999 in the EU, followed closely by the version 2 release in North America and the EU in February of 2000. Version 2 was basically like a modern day patch on a game, where they just fixed a few bugs and added some more levels to play and decks to use. But since the game was on a CD-ROM and internet patches weren't really a thing yet, they just released version 2 of the game. The game focuses entirely on the Pokemon trading card game and serves as a way for you to learn the game and then play against various computer players. It's a lot like the only other Pokemon game to ever come to PC, Pokemon TCG Online, except Pokemon Play It is far more limited. Version 1 only had 4 different decks you could use, and 2 of them were only unlocked if you typed the word fire on the main menu of the game. Which, how could you have possibly known to do that? Also, most of the time you're playing with half decks of only 30 cards, so the games progress a lot faster. One interesting thing about the game though is that every single one of the original 151 Pokemon has its own cry, many of which are taken from the anime, but some of them are just made from scratch. I actually played Pokemon Play It version 1 as a kid, since we bought a bundle that included the game, plus real-life cards of the water and fighting decks that you could use in the game. It's actually how I learned to play the trading card game, which I have since forgotten because I haven't played since I was 7. Although I must admit that as a kid I never realized how disturbing the people in this game were. Especially Julie. Look at this. This is the face of a serial killer. The next game is one from the Nintendo 64 era that featured a very strange N64 peripheral. Hey You Pikachu. Hey You Pikachu is a game that originally came out in December of 1998 in Japan, then in North America almost 2 whole years later. The game focuses on you speaking to a virtual Pikachu and giving it various commands, such as to come here or fetch items or other basic mundane actions. The game came packaged with and used the N64 accessory, the Voice Recognition Unit or VRU, and is one of only 2 games ever made to use that accessory. And the other game was the Japan exclusive Densha De Go 64, which didn't even require the VRU, so it didn't come packaged with one. Also interestingly, the VRU was calibrated for a high-pitched child's voice, so older kids and adults with deeper voices would have a lot of difficulty using it. Hey Pikachu, come here! Hey Pikachu, come here! Oh, Pikachu, come here! God, this is so demeaning. The game is essentially a virtual pet simulator with the talking gimmick added in, and your goal, according to the official Pokemon website, is to keep Pikachu entertained by giving the cute Pokemon toys to play with and instructions on where to explore. The happier Pikachu becomes, the more places you can go and the more things you have to play with. Well, that sounds like a rip-snorting good time. Now, while I have never played Hey You Pikachu since I never owned an N64, I can tell that overall it's a pretty mundane and chill game, which makes this super hype commercial for it even more hilarious.
Let's play! You gotta see this. I need witnesses. Pikachu, over here. It listens. If only my family would.
What? What did I say? No WWF. What's this?
It's just like the cartoon. Sometimes Pikachu only does what he wants.
How do you know he's a he? Maybe Pikachu's a she.
Whatever, can I play?
The next game on this list is another N64 game that I have never played, Pokemon Puzzle League. Side note, it did have a counterpart on the Game Boy Color called Pokemon Puzzle Challenge, but since the games are basically the same, I figured I'd just talk about the N64 one since I think it's more interesting. First released in September of 2000 in North America, Pokemon Puzzle League is basically just a Pokemon-themed version of Tetris Attack, the puzzle game where you have colored blocks slowly rising and you switch their places to make lines, and when you get a line, they disappear. The story mode focuses on you as Ash Ketchum traversing through the various locations of Puzzle Village, taking on the different Kanto gym leaders, Elite Four members, and other characters. The game also features various anime sound bites when you're battling those characters that are more than a little cheesy.
I'm gonna win! Good battle!
The game features various difficulty levels that you unlock after completing the story mode on the previous difficulty level, and depending on which level you're playing, the story mode ends at different points. On easy mode, it ends after beating Giovanni. On normal mode, it ends after beating Bruno. On hard mode, it ends after beating the champion, Gary, and on very hard and super hard mode, it ends after beating Mewtwo. To me, it's unsurprising that this game was really forgettable since it's just a Tetris Attack game with another franchise's skin on it. And if you weren't aware, there's been a lot of those. This next game is actually several games on one obscure console. And as I get further into it, you'll realize why this is just one entry. And those games are the games available for the Pokemon Mini. The Pokemon Mini is a handheld console, the smallest cartridge-holding console Nintendo has ever made, that can only play, as the name implies, Pokemon mini games. One of the several big reasons you've probably never heard of it is that it tended to be marketed more as a toy than as a video game, so you're more likely to find it in the toy section than you would be in the video game section. The Pokemon Mini was capable of infrared, rumble, and motion sensing, which is pretty impressive considering the time and its size, and several of the games on the Pokemon Mini made use of those features. It also ran on just one AAA battery that gave it 60 hours of battery life, although the non-backlit screen definitely helped with that. It was originally released in the winter of 2001 and came in 3 different colors: Chikorita Green, Wooper Blue, and Smoochum Purple, which are really random color mascots. All of them came packaged with Pokemon Party Mini, a singular game that included several other mini games within it, such as Pikachu's Rocket Blast or Hitmonchan's Boxing. Over the course of the next year, 9 more games were released for the Pokemon Mini, those being Pokemon Zany Cards, Pokemon Pinball Mini, which isn't even pinball, it's just one Diglett hitting the ball, Pokemon Puzzle Collection, Pokemon Tetris, Pokemon Puzzle Collection version 2, Pokemon Race Mini, Pichu Bros Mini, Togepi's Great Adventure, and Pokemon Breeder Mini. However, it's worthy to note that the last 6 games that I mentioned were only released in Japan. All of these games were, as the name implies again, just mini games. They had very little meat to them and could be beaten very, very quickly, hence why I decided to group all of the Pokemon mini games into one entry for this video. It's unsurprising that this console and its games were very forgettable though, since they were really only around for a year and, to my knowledge, weren't very popular. I didn't even learn of the Pokemon Mini's existence until playing the final game on this list, the GameCube title Pokemon Channel. Pokemon Channel was originally released in Japan in July of 2003, releasing in the rest of the world later that year. It's kind of viewed as a sort of sequel to Hey You Pikachu, since it's also a Pikachu virtual pet simulator. The main gameplay focuses on your character and Pikachu watching various interactive TV channels, exploring the outside world trying to meet unique Pokemon, and decorating your bedroom. Now, while just watching TV in a video game may sound dull, there are some pretty entertaining channels, my favorite of which is PNF, Pokemon News Flash. Easily the best choice for a Pokemon news anchor and the inspiration for Psyduck being the Pokemon top correspondent. Some of the other channels include Shop and Squirtle, where you can buy various room decorations, Quiz Wobbuffet, where you can answer questions to earn money, a Counting Mareep channel that is just counting Mareep and it makes Pikachu sleepy, and Slowpoke's Weather Report, where Slowpoke slowly gives you the weather report, thus actually changing the weather in that location. The game also happens in real time. So what Pokemon you find in the outside world, the sky's appearance, and what happens on the TV will change depending on the time of day. The game even requires at least a week to complete since you unlock new channels as calendar days progress. It also features some unique content, including an exclusive anime episode, Pichu Bros in Party Panic, that you unlock in parts as you progress through the game, and a Pokemon Mini emulator. It's not as fleshed out as the original console, but it did include 6 mini games for you to play. 3 from Pokemon Party Mini, a smaller version of Pokemon Puzzle Collection, a smaller version of Pokemon Pinball Mini, and a Pokemon Channel exclusive game, Snorlax's Lunchtime. As I mentioned, this is how I learned of the Pokemon Mini's existence, over a year after they had stopped making games for it. As a kid, I loved Pokemon Channel and would even do my best to wake up early before school to play it for a little bit. Nowadays, it'd probably bore me to tears, and I don't really recommend the game for anyone over the age of 10, but as a kid, it was amazing. So there we have it. Those are 5 forgotten Pokemon games. Now, there are quite a few other obscure Pokemon games out there that I didn't mention, so it's pretty likely that before too long, I make 5 more forgotten Pokemon games. And as soon as that video is up, I will link it in the cards here and in the end screens for the video. Also, I'd love to hear your guys' experiences with these games, so let me know down in the comments below which ones you've played before, which ones you'd heard of but never played, and which ones are totally new to you. Also, if you enjoyed this video and are a big fan of Pokemon, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications to see a lot more fun Pokemon videos from me. Alright, that's all I have for now, so till next time, Poke fans, gotta catch them all!